Racing post-marathon or training block, it can be a bit of a tricky time for a lot of us. And the reason that's the subject of today's topic is because I've had a good slap in the face of reality over the last 7 days. Now currently when I'm running today, it's Friday, and next weekend, so 9 days time, I've got my penultimate race of the year, the New at 9. And I knew that racing 4 weeks after a marathon was going to always bring a different set of, let's say, mindset skills to the table, because you definitely can't race those type of races the same way you would when you are in peak shape. So we'll go back and talk about my approach and what I feel is a sensible way to approach anybody racing post big training block or post marathon in particular. But yeah, as I said, let me explain why this week has given me a bit of a slap in the face with reality. Now after Abingdon, I decided to take 7 days completely off running. Went on holiday with the family, got back on the Friday, had the weekend off as well, and then gently eased into things that first week back with some easy runs. Did my first session, which was 20 by 1 minutes on, 1 minute off, which is what I did post London as well. So that all went really well, feeling really good. And over that week off, I decided that I wanted to set myself some challenges and have some fun this winter. And so my goal that I decided to set myself was to run a fast 5k time trial, which I did on that first weekend back, so 2 weeks post marathon. That went really well. And then the other one, which was going to be this week, was going to be to revisit an old tempo loop I used to do and see how much faster I could run it now than when the last time I did it, which was about 4 years ago. However, that tempo run hasn't happened. That was meant to happen yesterday. I instead took Wednesday and Thursday off. As I said in the intro, it is now Friday and we are back out here for a 50-minute easy run. Now I'll fill you in with exactly what's going on when we get back to the office, which will be in your viewpoint very quickly before we get onto the tips, because it's not uncommon for me to race 4 weeks after a marathon. In fact, actually, I think Cardiff Bay 10k this year was at 4 or 5 weeks, and what a stinker I had there. My slowest 10k time in 3 years. Yes, the weather was very hot. However, there are things that you should take into consideration when running it so close post marathon or training block. Coffee and eaten far too much fruitcake already this morning. So the plan after that 5k was basically to lock into what I would class as an intermediate week, so a bridging gap between what's going to be coming the week after and obviously the first week back. So the first week back I logged about 35 miles, I think it was, including that 5k time trial. My goal was to aim for around 50 to 55 miles. Most of it was going to be in the form of a double threshold day. That was going to be quite a big day on the Tuesday, and then the week after I really want to start locking into that higher winter mileage that I've been talking out in the build up to these half marathons coming in the spring. Anyway, we got onto the double threshold workout and the morning session went really well. My plan for this training block is to be working on hills and strength, and what that effectively means is I want it to be what I class as a strength block, so very similar to a base phase block. However, I just want to utilize the hills that I have around here. So basically get off a lot of the normal routes that I've been doing, use some of the more steeper hills out there, just because I want to change things up and I want to get a new stimulus ready for the new year. So my easy run on Monday went really well. That was quite hilly as opposed to my normal, let's say 350 foot of elevation that I might get in an easy run. It was more around 700. So it's about double. And I was like, this is a good, let's say, entry level easy run. As we go through the weeks, I want that to go up to closer to 1,000 foot. I just want to use the hills. I absolutely love them. Pardon me. Roll on to Tuesday and my double threshold day came around. I'd again taken that out onto the trail, the morning session anyway. The evening will stay on the concrete because that's the faster one of the two. But like I did back in 2022 when I did my double threshold work, I basically took the morning 5x2k session out onto the trails. Had a blast out there. Obviously paces are a bit slower, and I had to adapt things slightly because obviously we're not on the concrete anymore, so paces were slower. Heart rate was only a couple of beats higher, which I was really impressed with. I kept the right effort level, so very happy with that. Came off the back of that feeling grand. Went into the evening session feeling okay-ish, but I had noticed that I was starting to feel quite tired, and I had noticed earlier that day my HRV had plummeted. No one in the house was ill, but I did notice that I didn't feel particularly great. Hopped onto Coros, checked my HRV, and it was definitely on the downturn. Got halfway through my double threshold session, aimed for 20 by 400 meters on, 45 seconds off, got to 14. And the honest truth is I've been carrying a bit of tension in my back because quite stressed at the moment, and we'll talk about that in a second. And the reality is from that point, I noticed in that second half of the workout as I was tipping past the 12 rep mark, everything just started to feel a little bit laboured. I mean, I was hitting some amazing paces for such a calm effort, feeling really good, really locked into where I should be. And yeah, the honest truth is the last 2 reps after 12, I did 13 and 14 and I just stopped it. I thought to myself, I was really sort of like struggling, sort of mentally, and not only mentally, but physically as well. Physically, I suddenly felt very drained of energy. And that's kind of been the story for the rest of the week. And I just thought to myself there and then I could push on and persevere. And I don't want to be a hero. There's no point. We've got plenty more training runs to get done. I'd rather live to fight another day. So I called it there, and that's it. That's the last one I've done until today. And this will flow nicely into what we're about to talk about, those points, those tips for race day, because the ultimate truth is that post-marathon you can get into a bit of a slump and your body ultimately is still recovering. I voluntarily took Wednesday and Thursday off running. Work is really busy. I'm sure if you work, there'll be a period in your job that just is busier than any other point in the year, and mine just happens to always, every single damn year, be November. I can assure you, whilst I'm still working the way I am, I will not be running Valencia Marathon because November is always my busiest month. So that has absolutely kind of elevated the stress levels. That combined with obviously the fatigue and everything has just kind of meant that I've just put the brakes on things, decided to sack off the tempo run, listen to the body a little bit, take 2 days off, and now we're back here on Friday, still feeling like it's a little bit of a slog, but feeling much better than I was post Tuesday night session. And we'll leave the glasses on because it makes me look like I know what I'm talking about. But honestly, from experience, the first thing I want to say when you're thinking about racing post-marathon is just to kind of release any expectations that you have. Now, a lot of us are all very individual. Well, we're all individual. We all have different bounce back ability. That's the way I like to put it. We can all bounce back from things in different ways. I've always been someone that I find between the 3 to 6 week period window after a marathon, I'm talking specifically marathon here, not necessarily training block. From a shorter training block, from a shorter distance race, I tend to find it's more around the 2 to 4 week period. But depending on how much the marathon training and the race itself took out of me, I can find that 3 to 6 window could be anywhere in there where I start to and feel better again. There literally is a point when you're just training, it feels like a slog, and then suddenly you turn that corner and you're like, damn, my heart rate's just dropped. I suddenly feel like everything is so much easier. We're back in the game. But obviously in that build-up period, it's just a phase that all of us, every single one of us, none of us are exempt. We all go through building back up into training. As I said, it does come down to bounce back ability. We're all slightly different. Some people recover better than others. And as I said, that window for me is a 3 to 6 week period. Now, I often race around 4 to 6 weeks post-marathon, and for me it usually is a line in the sand. I love to do them. I draw that line in the sand and then kind of take that marker on if it's a distance that I can sort of replicate. Because we're going into winter, none of these races that I'm about to do have any sort of meaning in terms of I've got the New at 9 now, which is going to be a hilly 9.5k run, and a hilly 10k run at the end of December. None of those I can replicate in 8 weeks time, but they're just a good line in the sand for fitness. I'll check heart rate, I'll check gap pace after it, so grade adjusted pace, and just really see how I get on. It's a good way to just release pressure and go in with no kind of expectation whatsoever. And the second thing I want to say, if you're racing sort of very close post-marathon, is just go a little bit easier in the build-up to the race. A good example, well, obviously this is a good example right now, but a good example is if you're mid-training block, if I cast my mind back to mid-marathon training block, I could probably get away with doing a Tuesday workout, Thursday workout, maybe shrink the Thursday one, but then still race on the Sunday. You're a lot more kind of, I feel, robust when you're in a good routine. You're a little bit more kind of hardy to the training. Your body's getting used to it. Your mind is adapted and you're kind of ready for what usually happens in that week, which is that normal routine. At the moment, as your body is still recovering mentally as well as physically from the marathon, obviously those two things are going to recover in different ways. For me, it's highlighted this week that basically I put a hard effort in on the weekend, tried to do a double threshold effort, and my body just went shut down and said, no thank you, too much too soon, back off and go again. I think our bodies can be a little bit fragile. I've experienced this before in the past, and it really can be a case of just testing the water here and there. doing small workouts on the way back. And so what I would probably traditionally do next week, rather than do a Tuesday workout, Thursday workout, and then just go and race on Sunday because it's not a goal race, I will probably end up only just doing one workout next week, and I might pull that a little bit forward in the week, maybe do it on the Tuesday, and then on the Thursday, instead of my other normal workout, I might just do a steady run with some strides, just to get a bit of speed in the legs, but doesn't take anything out of me. So it's just a case of kind of like approaching it with a bit more caution, being a little bit more careful, and appreciating that your body is maybe still a little bit fragile. And the third and final thing is just go and have fun. Ultimately, throughout the year, we'll have races. I mean, again, I did it. I said at the beginning, London is my sort of like more relaxed marathon, and then Abingdon is my serious one. I'll also have races throughout the year where I go, well, this is my goal one. This is one that I can go and draw a line in the sand, which we're about to go and do now with these ones. Or there's some in the middle that you go, wow, do you know what? It's not a goal race, but I still want to kind of give it a little bit of something. These are the opportunities, literally post-marathon training block or post-big training block, where we can just go and go, do you know what? There's not even 1 ounce of pressure on this. There's no expectations. This is the window, this is the pocket of opportunity in the year where we can just say to ourselves, do you know what? Go out there, cut loose, have fun, and actually appreciate and enjoy the sport for what it is. I often feel, and I am so guilty of this, just pile on the pressure of ourselves, to ourselves, to perform well, to do well throughout the year, and to just go and kind of like perform at our best, shall we say. There are times where we should just absolutely relax, cut loose, and these are those opportunities. So I would just urge and encourage all of you that if you do have any races post-marathon, please don't treat them like a goal race. Just go out there and have some bloody fun. And speaking of fun, I better get back to work. From a personal perspective, I'm definitely going to be taking the next few days just super easy, super relaxed, and just kind of let the body fully recover before going again. As I said, probably just the one workout next week, and then we'll use the new at 9, which I'm super excited about, as the other sort of, let's say, workout of the week. Just go there and have some fun. So as I said, if you take anything away from this video, just make sure that these post-marathon or post-training block races are there to be enjoyed. Take the pressure away from yourself. Just go out there and have a blast. And if you're doing it with mates, even better. You should have a grand old time. So there we go, guys. We'll wrap this one there. Can't wait to see you next week for a race vlog. Really excited for this one. It's going to be fantastic. Until then, guys, I appreciate your support. If you enjoyed this one, please do consider giving it a like, share it with your friends, and of course, subscribe to the channel for weekly running content. See you in the next one.